All right, you can restart that or just scrub it. Okay. All right. Hey. Double check. Let me see you again.
Check.
All right. I'm going to try. I don't remember what it said.
Here I am.
All right, Chad. Thank you for coming by.
Glad to be here.
I love doing stuff in person, and, I know you just use me for my platforms. Is that it, or do you really like talking about stuff?
Basically about it, just your platform.
Are you enjoying doing a lot of press and interviews, or do you think that is a necessary evil, or what? How's that feel to you?
I like doing it. I think the only aspect of it that I don't like, which is funny because this podcast is basically the opposite of that, is I don't like that so much of the detail in a lot of art is given away now. There's no mystery. Like every band does a meet and greet and every band talks about everything that went into all their songs now in a general sense. And I miss paying a lot of money going to a show. You see the guy on stage, you never see him again in your life. He doesn't do interviews. Frank Ocean is way cooler than any other artist in that respect to me because he's the most different. You know what I mean? You don't hear from him for 4 years. He cancels half of his shows, and then when he finally gets on stage, the internet freaks out.
And you like that better than pretty confident you can get a Twitter response from him later today?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, exactly. Like the artist that is always tweeting at everybody and always responding to everything and explaining every detail. Yeah, over-describing every detail of what everything that meant. I don't really know what half the things I mean until halfway through the year, actually, on some songs, which is kind of crazy.
What do you mean?
Like,
you mean like if I asked you a specific question about a specific song, you don't have?
Yeah, like what
you'd be making up an answer or something.
Well, like in 10 minutes when you start asking me about specific songs, I might say, I don't really know yet. It just felt it was the right feeling, and then I kind of discover what it means later.
Interesting. Well,
not all the time, but just sometimes. Like sometimes for me, everything revolves around feel. Like I'm a feel-based creative person versus a thinking-based creative person.
That's for sure.
Right. So sometimes I don't know why it's right, but I just know that it's going to fit into the rest of the world that I'm constantly trying to curate.
Well, let me try and tell people a little bit about what you're like from my point of view, because I find it interesting. Because I find you interesting, I guess, but it's that I find most people to be disinteresting is another way to put it. I find that most people don't have really even any vision or intuition, whether it be thinking or just, like you said, feeling-based thing. Most people don't have anything that they're sure that they want clearly, that they can articulate and say, I'm going to do this. And even if they do, they often do the thing where they say, I wish I could do this, or I want to do this, but I can't afford it, or I can't do this. And I think that's almost always not true. It's just they're unwilling to name what it would cost them, if that makes sense. So somebody will say, I would like to release an album or learn jujitsu. I've said that. I said I want to learn jujitsu.
Did you?
No. So I clearly don't listen to the words that I say there. So, and if I say, I can't, I don't have time, I'd say, or I can't afford it, I would say. That's not really true. It just would cost me something else, time. It might cost me time with my daughters, and that's why I don't want to. But most people will, even worse than that is the problem that people, if you ask them what would they do if they had unlimited time or resources, they would just
no idea
go on a longer vacation or something like that. So that is disinteresting to me. So people like you are just the opposite of that, and you're just, so many things that you want and exactly how you want them is crazy. And to me, it's very, very inspiring, but it also, I would say, is difficult. And I say that the difficult people that I work with I say the most difficult people I know are you and my wife, Bridget, and Toby. They're just really difficult. It's just, I think that's by virtue of the fact that you know something you want and you can say it. And there's this really big sense of right and wrong. And I don't mean moral. It's like just, no, that's wrong. We're trying to do this, and that feels wrong. That's wrong. Don't do that. Knock it off. Don't put that there. This needs to be bigger. What do you mean by bigger? I don't know. Fix it or whatever. It's
right.
So, and I'm inspired in those situations because I don't maybe always know what it is that I want to do. Maybe I don't have that. So I tend to want to latch on and help and do stuff with people that have that kind of thing. And I experience you that just on a level it's hilarious to me. I wonder if you're aware of it or how you experience it.
I mean, I'm aware of it more so this year than I have been before. And the thing that blows my mind is that you want to inspire, or, it motivates you, it gives you energy that I'm so freaking opinionated.
It's not an invitation to bark at me.
No, I'm not trying to bark, but it is a thing of like, the hardest part for me is getting you or, you know, Alex, my wife, she does all the admin, and then Jeff, we've got a production guy, is getting, you know, the team that we have now around the vision, when the vision sometimes feels like a moving, feeling target for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, this is right, this isn't right. But then again, there is just a little bit of it that I'm just like so damn picky about, you know, where the backs are on the pins that we just ordered,
right.
or the, like, every detail of everything to me is like, you know, like I threw a fit when we couldn't find anybody to manufacture these hats with the King's Kaleidoscope. Huge. I wanted it to be as big as possible. You know, like
and who
little
you mad
detail.
at?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Threw a fit to who?
Like, exactly. Just, I mean, to myself on that one. But yeah, I do have like just strong opinions, I guess. But it's all feeling based usually more than idea based.
Which is frustrating for people because you can't even
you can't communicate it
or
why
it
matters.
Or you can communicate what's wrong but not what you want often is a way that it comes out.
I feel like I usually know what I want, though. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time, money, like if you can actually pull it off,
mm-hmm.
you know.
So are you often dissatisfied with other people? Like, do you run into conflict with, I mean, you know, how's that mitigated typically?
Yeah, I would say that happens often, but I think I'm also, I mean, I've gotten a lot better at it, but it's something I work really hard at. But I think I also see my role a lot as like more of a creative director, executive director over these big projects.
Yeah.
Where my actual role is empowering all these other people to do really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. So
the model,
it is a people person role.
It is weird though because you know, because it can be, like I said, difficult. But it's let's take the video shoot the other day, the big one in the hangar. We did a couple of videos last week, but the one we did in the hangar last week, to me, and I posted a picture of it. It was one of the most ambitious things I've ever seen any individual or totally independent person or entity pull off. It looked like it was basically, from my days in doing music, some $80,000 music video shoot run by a big production company and a label and all that. Right. I don't think you spent very much money on it. I mean, maybe a tenth of that or so.
Yep.
Full orchestra, or not full orchestra, but orchestra, choir, band, hangar, all the art. Mm-hmm. How many cameras?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably over 40 people that were there throughout the day.
Yeah, there was seven cameras, 40 audio channels recorded to be mixed and released. Like, I mean,
there's like
giant
50
production.
channels. Yeah, I mean, and then like you said, airplane hangar, and then the artist that we collaborated with for all this, my friend Tobias, we flew him in from Zurich, and he did a whole art installation. 450 cardboard boxes that all these volunteers showed up early to put together, and then he painted them.
And that's just architected and handled by you, and then your production guy Jeff, who did. I just couldn't believe that the schedule was held and everything happened, and there wasn't audio problems and video problems and lighting problems. Yeah. I mean, there was probably some, but it wasn't much. It was pretty smooth.
Yeah, I mean, we ran into a big issue at the very end, but other than that, the rest of the day was like, I mean, it was like a dream, you know, and that's just Jeff and I working hard ahead of time to plan stuff out, make sure we have enough. You know, we had to get 70 XLR cables and we rent them, and it's all very DIY. Like, we are the production company, and my hands are in all the details, and I don't always like it to be that way.
Well, you kind of like it.
But at the scale,
you don't want somebody else to do it.
Yeah, well, I just think it's the scale. You know what I'm saying? If I had $80,000, I wouldn't have to worry about if we had what kind of lights we're renting. You know, but at this scale, we have to because it's so indie.
Okay, but here's where there's the disconnect. There's everybody else is asking me as if I know what do I need to do to get my band signed, which is a horrible question to ask in 2017.
Yeah.
First of all, you don't need to be signed, which you're a case in point of. And secondly, even if you were signed, what's that gonna? I mean, you need to be thinking on the scale that you're thinking. You're trying to. It's not like you're not just doing all this legwork because you need a video to help your album get more streams so that you get on tour, get signed. That's the tiny little small loop that bands think. I want to be in a band. What does the people in bands do? They play shows. They get signed. Whatever. You are thinking of these things, obviously, in these grand projects that you want to pull off in and of itself, right? Like, you're thinking of the project. Like, you need hats, you need boxes. You want this artist to be there so you can make this video and perform this music with a choir. Yes. That's what you're trying to do, not do that in order to market your Spotify songs. You're trying the project is the process,
the end
and
goal.
the project is the goal for you.
Yeah, I mean, I have to wear a lot of hats. I have to wear a marketing hat. I have to wear an artist hat. I have to wear a manufacturing hat. I have to wear all these different hats. But by far, the biggest hat that is closest to me that I get to work within is just the artist.
Mm-hmm.
So for me,
I mean, do you care about the visual art as much as the music on the tracks of the audio? Like, that's not normal, if so, but it's at least close.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I actually don't see one. Like the whole mixtape and the audio of the mixtape is just as important to me as the merch world that we created with this other fashion designer and the artist Tobias, and that's just as important as the live videos, which only half the live videos are from the mixtape, the other half are from Beyond Control. Like they're all just as important to me for sure, because it's creating the whole world. I don't see anyone. I don't see it as like I'm the musician and the singer. That's my job. I see it's like I'm trying to create Disneyland or something. Every aspect of it I care about, and probably how if you're at the top of anything like that,
that's
and
a
you
good
walk
the Disneyland thing. It's an experience that you're creating.
Yeah, exactly. If you walk through that experience you're trying to create, you're going to notice all the little things, and you want to make sure that they're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what works in my favor is that with King's Kaleidoscope, everything's so diverse. The band members are diverse. The people we collaborate with are diverse. I mean, just for this project, Tobias, the artist, was telling me how amazing it was to see this old, I shouldn't say old, they're not very old, but a Seattle choir that's been around for a while. That's all these white people, and then we have Propaganda, who's from Long Beach, just dreaded up, and he's a rapper, and they're on the same project.
And the artist from Switzerland.
Yeah, this is what
he's from Sweden.
No, he's from Zurich. But he's the one that was it was so weird seeing this choir of these other people, and then what helps me in is that my overall vision is throwing everything in the pot. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, if I was trying to make some minimalist art, electronic thing where everything had to be perfectly clean cut, I would be in real big trouble. But because the whole vision that I have is I want everything from everybody all the time, it actually gives me, it's more like I'm just trying to get more out of people than whittle everything down and perfect it all the time.
The Disneyland analogy is a good one because it's an experience, and also creative director. And you run your band the way that I like, which is, I mean, there's more business to it, but there's less music industry to it. So it's just you running it with a team, and you would rather hire people or pay people for their services and, have your hands on it and run it more like a creative director or a CEO or something like that. Although it's, more of a creative vibe to it. But instead of just trusting other, I mean, I don't know, it's like fundamental mistrust of authority baked in there too or something. I'm not sure, but I like it. It's just, most people would never have, it's like, oh crap, I want to make a video for an Emery song. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I don't know. What should it look like? I don't know. You tell somebody else, please tell me.
One.
I don't know. We just need one.
We just need one.
And you have the whole thing kind of, is your ambition. And so and then if you can do that over time, that's good. So it's a pretty good model to me of what the future is like. You're seeing other people doing this type of thing though. Where are your influences to run your own thing this way, and who do you look to for?
I don't know
modeling in that.
If I have I would just say your coaching over the years of telling me I can do it is the most important thing. The aspect in the whole thing is no, just do it yourself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. And I think that coaching goes down into me kind of coaching all the other people involved. I get the most inspired by people who can do something that I don't understand or that I can't.
Like what?
Well, we keep talking about Tobias, but Tobias from Zurich, we met on Instagram. He just liked something on Instagram from Kings this year, and he had a weird little avatar of some drawing, so I hit it, and I just loved his art. I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to work with this guy.
I want to absorb this creativity into the umbrella.
I want to bring some of this into this world that I'm, curating. And so
curating's a good word.
Yeah. So we just hit it off, and he agreed to do an album cover and everything. That moved into, this packaging. Now we have a 44-page locally printed lyric and art zine that we made downtown,
Mm-hmm.
and now that we made tapes and vinyl, and then he got his other friend Hannah, who's in Berlin, and she's a fashion designer, to make all this, to do all the merch for us, and well, all three of us kind of working on it together with Tobias's designs, and then also she cut and sewed outfits for us for tour and for all these videos and stuff. So it's like, to me, that was like, this is incredible. I'm going to do everything I can to get this fit into the King's world, even though it's not something we would ever do before. I'm just going to work it in. Or working on Andy Mineo's record this last year, I met all these other rappers and other producers who were doing hip hop, which was very different from what Kings would do. But it's so inspiring to me that I'm just trying to figure out how I can bring it into the King's world.
So you brought in rappers for this project.
Yes.
I mean, so this one's hyper collaborative. So it's weird because
the
you're
whole
so
project
specific.
is about collaborative.
Yeah, but that's what's so interesting is you're so specific about what you want, or a wrong note, or something that didn't feel right, or whatever. But on the other hand, you're inviting a lot of chaos and collaboration. You know, that is crazy. I mean,
remember when you used to say that we should call our like tagline "Designed Chaos."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Is I have to have the crazy,
cultivated, curated.
It's
chaos,
cultivated, yeah. So I want the orchestra trying to keep time with the rappers, with the band, with the artists from Zurich. The whole project is massive in scope now, but it all starts with me just getting inspired from a type of art that's outside of what I would normally do, and then how can we collaborate together? How can we make something with a whole bunch of other people? Now we have this mixtape. Now we have crazy live videos coming out. We have another music video.
Did a lot last week. So last week, if I'm correct, you did that massive video shoot in the hangar. Which, how many songs?
We did 7. So Monday night the band had our rehearsal for it. Tuesday night the orchestra and choir had a rehearsal. Wednesday from basically 9 to midnight we were there. We built the whole set in one day because we couldn't afford to rent the hangar for more than 2 days or pay everybody. So we built the whole thing. Shot 7 songs with the whole crew.
7 songs of video and audio to be released. So it's like almost like making an EP.
It's like making an EP in a
10
day.
hours with video and live rappers and everything.
Thursday night we did a few overdubs for the orchestra just to get anything that was too noisy in the hangar because they're so quiet compared to drums, And then Friday night we did a listening party and art show down right next to the Space Needle Seattle Center. That was awesome. We just had it super limited, 50 tickets. It was awesome. We played the record for the first time, the mixtape, and we played it on like the vinyl. We had a acetate, which is like an aluminum copy of the vinyl. They get you to make sure that everything sounds right. We played that for everybody. It was really cool.
And then Saturday did another video.
Oh yeah, and then Saturday we did another music video. Yeah, and then Sunday we cleaned up.
Yeah, and we just have finished this mixtape and the recording and the mastering of. I just got the final master just now. The one I have, and it's out. And it's out today. I mean, so congratulations! Today is the day that this project. That I've been super excited. I hadn't talked to ton about it because I just feel like I don't want to talk about it a ton to anybody until they can hear it. It's just frustrating, Yeah. But today's the day, so now everybody can go listen to it, and we'll play some of it right now. But
great.
Let's talk about the area that I know less about and am interested in like lyrics. Let's talk about the content. That's a area that you've changed or grown and do different than other people also. So I'd like to get into that a little bit. But let's play. We can talk over this if you want to or not. But we're going to play the little section of this mix. There's 10 tracks on it, and I'm going to play 7, 8, and 9 kind of in a row if they flow together well.
Yep.
And we can talk over it a little bit.
Yeah.
Or not. I don't care. Would you say this whole mixtape is in the genre of hip-hop?
Yes, because it champions a lot of sampling, and it champions a lot of collaboration, which is very different from a band record. That's not something that bands aren't going, how many people can I get to play guitar on this record? It's like you have a guitarist, and he gets pissed off if you find other people to play for him instead.
There's a lot of sample. In fact, this is sample. What is the talking sample we're hearing right now?
I'm gonna get the name right here. This is Reverend Dr. Sandy F. Ray.
The other thing that stands out to me, I'll just let it play here.
Several people in this generation in a very few years, some 4 or 5 years, we've assassinated a Medgar Evers and a Malcolm X, 2 Kennedys and a King.
Come and get that stand-up music, that propaganda music, that
propaganda
music. I told y'all be about it. Y'all like I tweeted about it. Don't be so mean about it. I'm down to read about it. You flip that hashtag, you flip that Abby, right? Your fist is in the air. Can't say I'm racist, right? Assorted operate mortar. You kinda with them, cause most don't notice the system till it turn against them. Hey.
And that's propaganda rapping.
I just relax, indulging insecurities. Apathetic, I'm complicit in the prejudice, it's automatic.
And this is you rapping, right? Wouldn't you say
I
that?
mean, kind of, yeah. I hesitate to say it's not real rap. It takes me a long time to write it.
Takes is all of me. I'm still not who I'm meant to be. I'm holding back, I just relax, indulging insecurities. Living a lie, playing with fire, playing with fire. Living a lie,
What is the hip hop that you enjoy listening to? I'm not going to call it direct influence or what did you copy or rip off here, but I'm saying what is what are you listening to that you enjoy in that genre?
I mean, for the last freaking year, I've been playing with all these ideas, and when I'm in that zone, I don't listen to a lot of music. It's kind of weird. I just listen to what I'm working on. But I grew up listening to a lot of Common, Talib Kweli, Kanye, Lupe Fiasco, and a lot of them aren't doing very much anymore, except for Kanye. But Pharrell is a big influence on me, N.E.R.D. I just saw Kendrick Lamar's show last week.
I mean, you are familiar with his new album at least, right? You
Oh,
listen
yeah.
enough to-
I've listened to his new album maybe 2 times, 3 times all the way through.
That's all.
Enough to go see it. Yeah.
I've listened to it more than you have.
Yeah, well,
I don't have
I've
to
been
listen to
busy
nothing.
making it. I can't, like the amount of music that always comes out that I really want to get into, I have to have like clear space where I'm not working on my own music to listen to it. I don't know why. I feel like I don't appreciate it as much. Like even Kendrick's record, I feel like when I have distance from this, like when we're on the road the next couple months and I'm just sitting in a van, I'll get way more out of it
Then you
than
listen to it.
trying to listen to it in my truck on the way to this or some other thing across town while I'm checking mixes all day long and trying to think of lyrics. And it doesn't, listening to music in the moment of making a record doesn't really influence me. I need to have it impact me when I don't have a goal in mind almost.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
You have to absorb it separately from,
Right.
when you're creating it.
Right.
The
Exactly.
separation there.
Exactly.
And then this track flows into this next one here.
This is just a little interlude thing.
What is it?
It's a much needed pause from a lot of heaviness on the previous 2 tracks. Yeah.
That's the we're just live
It's
trumpet.
like a moment of reflection. Yeah, this was a guy that was playing on he was playing on a whole different track, and then I just took it and chopped some pieces together and spaced it out so that it felt like it was a kind of a palate cleanser before the last song on the record right here.
That's pretty neat. I hadn't heard that. Yeah, but that's nice. That's the new thing that was added since the last version I heard.
Yep.
Okay, so if you didn't catch it, sorry if we talked over some of that. But the lyrics interest me there. It's Propaganda doing the first rap part, and then it's, to me, I hear those songs as one because I hear that preacher yelling about stuff.
Right.
And then it seems racially charged to me. And then I hear a rapper, and it's Propaganda, and he said, you know what I mean? Like,
I hear a rapper.
Right, and rappers are black, and they talk about race, and he says racism right in there, so now I'm scared to talk about, what's going on? You know, that's the way people, I think, I'm just kind of playing a joke there.
No,
but
for sure.
I think that's how people will receive this, and I'm very curious. I mean, you had some controversy in the last album with the song Prayer because you said the F word in it, and I don't, you know, this is the part of this that I wonder what people, is this going to make people's heads spin? Are they going to wonder what your message is? Are they going to, and I'm curious how it got there, what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to make you explain all the lyrics, but I mean, what did you do here? You got rappers and now you're talking about racism in songs. That sounds scary.
Yeah.
I think your fans will find it scary too, but what is it?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the best way to tell this as a story, kind of.
Wait, hang on. I got a first question for that.
Okay. What?
This is for the benefit of many people out there.
Okay.
Chad, are you black?
No. Okay.
Some people think you are.
I
do
know.
they not?
People think I'm mixed. Prop was at the video shoot on Wednesday, and he asked me. It was like the second. This is like the second time we talked about it. He's like, So are you mixed? And I said, no, dude, we've already talked about this. I took a DNA test finally, and I'm only 0.2% West African. And he said, this is what he said. He said, the test is racist. No, people have always asked me that. It is funny, like at shows, you know, maybe a third half the time, the black people at the shows, there's at least like one or two will stick around and they'll ask me afterwards.
If you're black? That's a question?
If I'm like mixed or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It's something because probably most of our demographic is white, and we come out of, you know, worship leading in a white church. And so I think I don't know. I'm all guessing here, but it must be some kind of thing where you're kind of like, wait, did that guy...
I mean,
did he come out of that context being like mixed, or like how did that happen? I think they're just kind of curious. Mm-hmm. So I mean I have full white privilege basically.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, yeah.
I mean, you think of yourself as a white person who has always liked black culture, though. You would probably say. I mean, all the
way more than my Scandinavian background. Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I just think it's
just like
better.
Obviously part of the notion of race being more of a construct than people would think, because you come across as a mixed person is the best way to put it, probably, to me. I would have assumed that until I got to know you and who your family was and all that other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's some parts of your look that maybe seem black to me, but that's probably in context to your style, the stuff you like, the way your voice sounds, the sneakers you're into.
Well,
I mean, you belong almost in Brooklyn in the 80s, almost is what, you know, is what it feels like. And so then maybe it's confirmation bias in the way that you look or something. I mean,
Seattle is like just super, super, super white. So growing up in the area around Seattle, I don't know why that has to do with anything, but I put it this way, you know, my background is, my dad's side of the family is kind of just a mutt, like all English mutt, white, I mean, everything, German, just from everywhere. My mom's side of the family is very Scandinavian. And so if there's anything my family kind of championed, it was Scandinavian culture and heritage, which has some really cool stuff to it. But it is kind of weird being white in America, just a blend, because you really don't feel... Like, I feel like I kind of never had a culture, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you felt that. Like, it's not like I'm third generation Irish and I'm like super proud of my hair. I just kind of, there is people in my family that are really excited about, you know, Scandinavian heritage. My wife she comes from that and she loves it. But for me, and almost felt like I just had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the most interesting culture for me in America is African American culture.
Always. I mean, you were a DJ. I mean, before you were
I just
a
think they have the
musician
best music. I think they have all the music, and then white people copy them. I think they have a, horrible, and also there's so much beauty that's come out of it, just story with America and the way America, is founded on their backs. I mean, there's all of that awfulness and tragedy. There's like beauty that has come out of their artistic culture with that. And so I just think growing up in America, it makes sense that if you don't feel really tied to a heritage, that one just attracts you as I'm going to listen to this music. I'm going to watch these videos. Every athlete that we love the most is African American.
So you're saying if you threw your personal, actual, immediate family heritage out and just simply gravitated toward what culture is the best, most exciting, it would be black culture in the United States.
100%.
Like, obviously. They're the best athletes. They're great musicians and players.
They're just brilliant.
And jazz and
writers. I mean,
dancing.
everything.
It's just
the
so
most
rich.
beautiful art.
Yep.
So as an artist growing up, that just was.
You think they're objectively the best culture?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I hate Nashville.
No, yeah.
I hate it.
That's interesting. So, but getting into doing the lyrics here, like, how do you then, even as a white guy, like, how do you get these rappers on here and say, I want to talk about racism and I want to do this here, and how does that?
Well, the race piece of that song, Playing with Fire, wasn't intentional or premeditated. So the song prior to that, Sticks and Stones, is a pretty interesting song because it's about religion, organized religion. Obviously my experience with that is Mars Hill, but there's tons of experiences with just kind of abusive religion. And really what that is dogma. It's ideologies. It's something that's super far from center. There's no nuance in it. It's this way or the highway. And those types of ideas, they just lead to chaos and death and destruction. So I was looking for just random samples that would have to do with that idea. Like, I just wanted something chaos. Like this, the whole world that we all came out of a couple years ago with Mars Hill was just this world of, this is so freaking confusing. And really it's just bringing death in that sense upon so much of our lives. So I found that, which was awesome because this is obviously like a civil rights era preacher, and he's talking about this. He's using the analogy of a jungle. He actually wrote a book about it too, which I haven't got to see, but he's just talking about from every angle all of the danger, and he's talking about I'm pretty sure like ghettos and neighborhoods that are full of minorities, and that's systematic, and they are suffering from racism. But it's all of those things that were being imposed on them. It's like I wasn't looking for something about racism, but then at the end of that, he surprised me when he starts talking about all the assassinations. Bam, 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 bam. And it's so poetic and beautiful. So that was just a thing. That song was done. And it was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll use this sermon thing there or not. I'll cut off the thing at the end that really makes it about racism. And it can just be a whole thing about a dangerous zone, which is what it feels like to be in an oppressive environment, regardless of what it is. It happens all over the world. It's not just in America. And I think that church organizations impose that, and that's sort of what I was more talking about. Then Propaganda, I had a song that I was sending to him, and I wanted it to be about being apathetic for people's suffering. So I had this chorus, if what it takes is all of me, I'm still not who I'm meant to be. I'm holding back. I just relax, indulging insecurities, living a lie. It's kind of this picture of like, I'm comfortable, I'll engage when I want to engage, but I don't really have to. And obviously it's Propaganda. He's really passionate about justice and social justice. And so he took it a little bit towards into the race direction. And then that made me come back to write my verse and go, okay, well, one of the things that I'm definitely guilty and of, being apathetic about is just being white and not having to suffer and deal with a lot of racism. So then that's what my verse was. And then after that, after we had that song and the song before it, when we were trying to figure out what we were going to use for that sermon on that kind of interlude track, it just made sense to just keep the point where he talks specifically about all of the assassinations, Martin Luther King and so on, and go right into Prop's rap. It's almost like it just transitions the themes from, a religious abuse to a
different type of systematic
different type of systematic abuse to then where Prop and I talk about that, So it's and there's all kinds of other ways you could see it creatively, but that's kind of the way I'm seeing it right now. And I think it worked. And once again, it's one of the things that felt right. At first, like if the song with Prop had gone a different direction, maybe we would have changed that. If the song before it had gone a different direction, we could have changed it. But it felt like it kind of just bridged the worlds and sort of just shifted the perspective on it a little bit, enough to go, oh, this is a perfect blend between the two.
Now, let me draw at this point back to the point of a small local band trying to ask somebody in a bigger band how to get signed. You're worried about that. Meanwhile, they're worried about the correct road cases and the backdrop of the lighting for their merch display, or whatever it is that's
right.
So to me that's just an example of like this, and it's not. And I hear artists and musicians talk all the time, and I almost always hate it because they always just talk in vague. And I feel like they're putting on and trying to act like things are meaningful when they're not. For you, this is just very organic. Like that is how this came about, and it is led by one of your intuitions to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's very pure in that sense. This isn't how you put on in interviews or whatever.
Right.
Although I typically find musicians that way. But I don't, like to me, that's just great. Like if I'm working on music, I'm really just thinking about notes and chords. Much less all these other things and stuff like that. It's really nice to hear somebody tuned in and focused on the type of samples for the message they're trying to do, and the fact that you're inviting chaos and it's developing organically. It's high up stuff, and to me, it's apparent when I listen to a mastered album and no longer don't hear anything about samples or snare drums or volumes or I would never question the track order. As soon as I heard this, you said, do you have any notes? I'm like, no, this is an album.
Yeah, this
is done. Like no part of me is going to give feedback on this.
I changed the whole order.
Well, to me, when I'm hearing it, it's
right.
This thing is glued together. It's obviously everything about it's intentional, not a bunch of random decisions of somebody just trying to get a record out because he thinks he wants to be in a band. And I make a really big distinction about that. I'm highlighting it. I'm not trying to just make you sound good, but I find it inspirational is the point. But you've changed and even grown a lot, even in the lyric department, because a few years ago you wrote 0 lyrics, right?
Yeah, for Becoming Who We Are, which is really that first record right outside of being a worship director for 5 years, or it was 7 years. I don't know what I was doing. It was a long time I was doing that. That first record I had really only ever developed and honed the skill of worship leading and rearranging.
Where you
stuff.
get all the lyrics from him. So
get the lyrics from hymns, rearrange them. That's what I cut my teeth doing. And
that's interesting though, because at least you got to focus on that and like think about all the. I'm sorry to interject there, but it occurred to me just in the moment that you had the benefit of not even worrying about the pressure of being the front man for some artistic project out there. You're just leading worship and putting all your creative energy into arranging songs that you didn't write the lyrics for. So you didn't have this that pressure of like, it's me, it's my voice, all that stuff can be intimidating, especially when you don't have all your skills developed. But you got to work for years on freaking arrangements and vibes and feel until you had mastered that, and then could collaborate with people on lyrics. And now here you are having the really heavy input on the meaning of the song up front, and that's really nice for me to see.
It's
together.
New, because I think I only wrote 3 or 4 songs on that first record by myself, and then Beyond Control, I basically linked up with Zach Boland from Citizens and Saints, and we wrote all the songs together, most of them, I think. And then we did the same thing on this one, actually. So he's kind of like, at every step of the process, I'm basically collaborating with somebody. It's never just me Except, I mean, the production side of it is mostly me, but even that, I had my buddy Daniel come over, who's a hip hop producer, and help me just make sure the drums were right for the type of project it needed to be. But Zach and I have like a really great vibe now. He's really into like making sure that the idea is clear throughout the song, and I'm like very into all of the imagery, and both those things come together, and we feel like we're like a songwriting team now, and I love it. And there's no part of me at all that thinks, well, as soon as I can write songs by myself, they'll be better.
You still, even in that part, you
I don't
like
care.
collaborating.
I just want to get it right. So I mean, I think on this
Do you know
record,
when
Zach
it's
did
right?
every song with me.
Do you know when something's right, or is that objective to you when this song is done, or what this track order is, or something? Is it there
Yeah, I
is a
think I
right and
know
wrong,
it's-
and you have to work to
Yeah,
find it?
I think you're finding what the. Yeah, I think you're finding the right feeling when it's clear. I think it's pretty clear when something's done,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard for I think some people to say. But in one sense, everything can always be more perfected. But I don't think that's what makes something done. I think what makes something done is when it's telling the right story and giving the right vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So for everything that King's Kaleidoscope has done, I always think, well, yeah, we had bigger budget, we had all this stuff, we could make it more perfect, but that's not the brand. That's not what we are. King's Kaleidoscope is indie, DIY, and all of those things find themselves into the music because it is low budget and we're doing it all ourselves, and that is the magic sauce, I think, on a lot of stuff.
Well, it seems to be working pretty well. I like to see how your streaming works because you're super high streaming, and I think it's neat in the model sense that you're creating stuff at some big high level, and obviously vinyl and merch are just as important as anything. But you are one of those artists that just kill on Spotify, which is the new thing that everybody wishes they were. There's been so much of people trying to say how bad Spotify and stuff is, but you and your fans now, that's just what y'all do. This is right.
Well, I mean, yeah, our demographic is not really, and I don't at all think about, I have to make something for the demographic. I'm just saying, looking back when I go, who's interested in King's Kaleidoscope? It's 18 to 30, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like nobody. I mean, maybe 35, but we don't really have a large high school audience. We don't really have a large older audience, and everybody in that age range that's listening to us is pretty obvious. They all have Apple Music subscription or Spotify subscription, and who's gonna pay $10 to buy an iTunes album and then use space on your phone instead of take up space you could take photos with when you can just stream whatever you want and then unsync it from your phone. So for me, the selling of records is not nearly as important as the building of the world, once again. So for me, the world is how the shows feel as best as we can do with the resources we have. The feel is, or the world is, how does the merch do, same thing with the resources we have. Let's make it as amazing as we can. And I think we do a pretty good job with that. Obviously, all of the merch and everything around this record, this project, is like the craziest we've done and maybe the wildest we've done because we had a actual fashion designer helping us, Hannah, and an artist, Tobias. And so it feels a lot different than just, put our name on a shirt and that's it. It feels like we're actually designing some crazy
Well, it's almost
stuff.
freeing in that, like, because you're not tied to the format. Oh, you make a record, you put it on the label, send it to stores, people buy it. You need 10 songs, they have to be the
Yep.
you're untethered. The cool thing is you're untethered from the format. So now your larger scale ambitions of creating an experience or a thing can just you're free to create, like, to not border between record sales and tour. Who cares? Use one to pay for the other, doesn't matter. You're just trying to figure out how to leverage stuff to do the thing you want to do.
Right, like we use the pre-order for the mixtape to pay for the live videos because we really wanted to do that, and then it just keeps going project by project. They pay for the next thing, and somewhere along the way, hopefully, we make a little bit of money.
That sounds dangerous.
It is. That's what your job is.
Yeah.
You have to help me.
Yeah. Well, Well, it's dangerous because you're going to have a flop sometime. Sometimes
That's
you're going
true.
to have some idea where you want to spend $40,000 on a thing, and it just turns out
Just
that
dies.
it didn't work, and now you don't have money to go on tour or whatever else it is.
That's true.
So that's a
you can't
thing.
always, get on base. That's for sure.
But so far so good. But I have the distinct experience of walking you through. Well, these will be the ramifications. This is a good idea, bad idea. This will cost that much, and you won't be able to put that in your pocket. And sometimes you go, so what? It'll do this. And the thing I love about it is I don't feel you going, yeah, but then later I'll actually get paid because of this. You just say, no, this is what I want it to be, and I trust that things will work out.
right.
And so I'm often renting that big airport hangar for me. I
remember calling you about that.
I don't think.
Hey, we
that's
can't
good.
because we couldn't find any warehouse for it at all. And I think the airplane hangar was like $2,500, which
Just for the
for
day,
us is
I
a
know.
really big deal. I mean, that's just
Of course it is. You could have put all of those in your
That comes
back
straight
pocket if you
out
shot
of-
the video in my studio here.
right. That comes straight out of like
Yeah.
my wife and I's
Right.
bank account, right? And yeah, and you were like, well, as long as you can release the audio and make a whole other like project EP in a day, then you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, great, we'll do that.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Well, as long as you get the people down there to capture audio, you'll have
Right.
something else to release, which
Right.
I'm really excited about because when you do live stuff, it's really good. And there's
It's
7 live tracks from that will hopefully pay for
Well,
it. That was my
they're,
idea. but-
they're just incredible. There's a whole other orchestral arrangement of a prayer. There's this beautiful version of Trackless Sea with the choir, and then the mixtape songs with the rappers are there. We flew them in for it, and it's just crazy.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
I
a
mean,
big
it's
project.
it was absolutely insane. It's the biggest thing I've ever been able to be a part of in my life.
Yeah.
Just pulling it off.
Well, I
We
love
couldn't
that you
believe
can
it.
do
We were everybody was walking around the whole day just going like, this is like a dream right now. How did we even possibly do this? How
I
did we
was
get all these
super
people to help
nervous
out for free?
that
And
the emergency was coming and the phone call. Like I wasn't there all day. I knew I was gonna be
Yeah.
home eating supper and get an emergency phone call. I was terrified.
yeah, we only had one big hiccup at the end, but everything else is gonna work out, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. Let's listen to another track and we'll be done here. This
Yeah.
is my favorite actual track when I'm going to analyze. I'm not going to do much musical analysis other than pay attention to, or do you, I'm going to ask you a question on this one. Sometimes Phoenix, it also ties into
Ooh.
the everything else to me. It feels super New York jazzy to me. It feels
There's
like
that one part that's very jazzy.
it's just the way of changing keys and the chord progressions is just bizarro, man.
Mhm.
Do you know what they are or think about it, or you don't care? I don't want to get into analyzing it. But
No.
the key shifts that happen in the middle of the thing, it's the best.
I don't know what it is in my head. I mean, I know how to play it on piano. I sampled it on a flip phone in AP Music Theory when I was a junior in high school from some girl just playing some random thing.
You sampled what?
The jazzy piano thing.
Wait, so this is a sample from that? or
That's
you just
not the
redid it?
actual sample, but I made so I sampled it with a flip phone in high school. I made a beat with it. And then the huge bass riff comes
Oh, yeah.
comes from one of those, I don't know what they're called. I think it's an Arhu. No, maybe that's not it. You know the guys down at Pike Place Market who play the instrument with one string?
Yeah.
So in high school I made a beat with that jazz piano thing, and then a guy from Pike Place playing a one string thing. And then when I was digging through old ideas, I decided, I'll use that piano riff and that one string thing's part, and I replayed it, and then we had the bass do that Arhu thing. And then we have a crazy song. I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's how I get inspiration for ideas, is repurposing old stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my favorite one. Is that the same trumpet player?
Yep. And I wrote the lyrics for this with our photographer, who's also, I should say, he's more of a writer and poet than he is a photographer. He's in Korea right now, writing his first book.
That's the piano part?
No, not yet. There's a kind of an early loop of it, but it'll come in on the pre-chorus. Right here. That modulation's crazy.
Yeah.
And And
That bass line is
that bass line melody is from just a street performer. Yeah. Roughly. Love this transition.
This isn't the thing you don't like about overlooking and explaining art?
No, this is fine. I love talking about it.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool to have some mystery somewhere. You know what I mean?
Tell me just one thing. Will I always measure my weight in gold? When I am an old
This just sets up
king,
the
will I
heavy
be
thing
alone
so
in my
much.
It's so
castle
surprising.
cold?
Yeah, the first time that happened, I was shocked because I was
Yeah.
consumed with where the key was taking me, and
Right.
I didn't even notice that the bottom dropped out,
Right,
and then the
right.
texture had changed, and all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
heavy,
yeah.
you know. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I love the drums on this song a lot. It's
So this is so hip hoppy, but ain't no rapping in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
So,
it's
I mean,
so
there's-
hip hop sounding of a song. It's just no
yeah, there's
rap.
5 rappers on the whole mixtape, but I think only half the songs like have rapping in them. I mean but the feel of this. But then again, I mean, if you look back at the last records we did, there's songs that feel like this on them
Yeah,
with
I
no
don't
rappers.
think it's a super big departure. To me, it makes sense.
I don't
I
either.
don't know if some people go, I thought y'all were the rock band with the orchestra or worship band, and now you're hip. I don't hear it that way. To me, it
I mean,
makes total
Light
sense.
After Darkness and Dreams and Ache and
Yeah.
Gone and Enchanted. I mean, they all sound like this.
Cold from the crash.
Super dynamic.
So there is your band playing on it some, but less. There's a lot of stuff that's not all of your band, but they're on here.
There's just
too.
more. Yeah, they're all played on it, and then there's a lot of production that I did by myself, and then a lot of production that my friend Daniel Steele helped with. That's my favorite transition. You haven't heard that yet, huh? Did you hear that?
That little thing in it.
The last section of that vocal goes right into the
Yeah.
piano. The next one, because
Yeah.
I modulate that last note goes right into the next key.
And now we're into the next song, and I'm going to fade that down
Yep.
there, and we'll get out of here. But so, you know, I am very curious to see how your audience will react to it. Like, I really don't know. I know, I
Yep.
trust enough that they'll love it because I love it, and you know what you're doing. So that I know. So that's why I'm always tempted to say, you know what, that is expensive. Do it anyway.
Just do it.
Like I'm learning to trust that, and that's
Yeah.
but I'm curious what people would say about this. Like, I wonder if some people go, well, that's not what the band's supposed to be. They're supposed to be something else, and now they're trying to be hip hop. I mean, I'm curious what the criticism will be, but I think most people are just going to
Yeah,
be
I
right
mean,
there with it.
Yeah, I think if the only thing that you really ever liked about King's Kaleidoscope was hymn rewrites from when I worked at a church, then yeah, this is way off. But you know, Beyond Control, the last record, really feels like the first record. It's the first thing I ever actually wrote. So that's me finding my voice as an artist. And then this is a little, you know, project off on the side that we're doing with a bunch of friends. And this still feels super King's K to me.
Yeah, it does to
You
me
know.
too.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope everybody likes it. What do you want them to do? Go to Spotify?
Spotify, Apple Music.
What do you have a preference? I do.
I don't know. You tell me.
Spotify.
You help me. Why?
Because the Spotify's given the artist way more analytics to work
Great.
with, right?
I want the analytics. Everybody's streaming on Spotify. Actually, the best thing would be to buy anything from our website
Participate
and get a
in
free
the whole
download
experience and understand
You can buy
this art and merch.
of it. You
and
can buy a pin
all
set
that.
and get the whole album for free, and it'll be hot. You know, I'll give away FLAC files or whatever it needs to be. High. That's the best. That helps us the most. And then come see us on tour with Propaganda this September.
Propaganda, and then John Mark McMillan after that.
In October. John Mark in October and Propaganda in September.
And it's all KingsKaleidoscope.com, or do you have KingsKmusic.com?
KingsKaleidoscope.com.
Yeah. And
EID.
Yep. And so, yeah, participate in the whole thing and get some of the art is what I'd recommend. You'll feel even more connected to it, and you'll have the experience that Chad is trying to design
Get
for you.
we have tapes, CDs and vinyl, and they all come with a 44-page booklet of art and lyrics that are all hand done by the artist Tobias. I'm wearing his sweater right now. And it's crazy. It took him over 3 hours per song just to do it by hand. It looks amazing.
Great.
It's crazy.
All right. Well,